Hi everyone, my name is Yu Yan. I'm glad to present this final project, and the destination I'm doing research for is Lawrence in Kansas State. Lawrence is a college town. It has both Kansas University and the Haswell Indian Nations University. It has a diverse economy spanning education, industrial, agricultural, and scientific research industry. So most of these related to the University of Kansas, which is the largest employer in Lawrence. So I will talk about this project with three categories. First of all is the key findings in this town, and second thing is the visitation and spendings from the tourists. The third one is the economic impact of tourism in Lawrence. The first finding is about the population. So I have made a spot chart um, about the population from 2000 and 2017. We can see the when we connect this line, these spots with a line, we can see the population showing a growing trend in the past 17 years. So in 2000, the population was 80,508 people according to the city data. But in 2017, this number grew up to 99,496 people. So in the past 17 years, the population growth rate is about 23.6%. And the second finding is the safety in Lawrence. We can see that the purple chart is the Lawrence Criminal Index, and the green one is the US Average Crime Index. That we can see that except 2002 and 2005, most of the years the Lawrence Crime Index is higher than the US average. And the third finding is about the income. When we separate the income to different categories, such as people who is making less than 15,000 or making between 15 to 20,000, we'll see that the employees who is making less than 15,000 has the highest percentage in Lawrence, which is 16.21%, while the US average number is 12.55%. However, it doesn't mean that most people making less money than the United average. So in my opinion, that's because most of them are students. So most of them taking part-time. That's why they're making less money. So I've also compared this number with another college town, Amherst in Massachusetts. So that percentage about employees who is making less than 50,000 is even higher, which is 18.94%, because they have more universities than Lawrence. I've also compared the income among Lawrence Metro, Kansas State, and United States. We'll see very clear from this bar chart that the first three category, which is employees who are making less than 30,000, in this part, the percentage, Lawrence percentage is higher than the United States average. However, the employees in Lawrence who are making more than 75,000 a year, these numbers are lower than the United average number. We can see very clear from this right hand side, the bar chart. So in my opinion, this kind of explain why the crime index in Lawrence is higher than the United States index because sometimes the poverty causes the criminal. In addition, according to bestplace.net, the Lawrence median household income is $46,929, while US is $53,482. And the fourth finding is the living cost. Since the income in Lawrence is lower than the United States average, we can see that the living cost index is lower than the United States index, especially the housing price. If we use United States at 100 and the housing price in Lawrence is only 89. The fifth finding is about employment. So as I just mentioned that in Lawrence, people who is making less than 15,000 a year has the most highest percentage. That I think one of the reason is most a lot of students they are only taking part time. So that's why we can see very clear from the left hand side bar chart that the dark blue is a full time and the light blue is a part time. So we can see the Lawrence part time is much more higher than the other place. And on the right hand side, it's a unemployment rate comparison between among the Lawrence, Kansas, and the United States. So the dark blue is Lawrence numbers. We can see that both Lawrence and Kansas unemployment rate is lower than the United average. And from 1995 to 2000, Lawrence unemployment rate was higher than the Kansas. But after 2000, Lawrence unemployment rate had dropped. Um, we can see from the line that Lawrence rate unemployment rate was lower than Kansas and national from 2000 to 2018. Especially the after financial crisis after 2009, the national unemployment rate even went up to 10%. However, Lawrence rate still stayed about 6%. And in February 2018, the national unemployment rate was 4.1%, and Kansas State was 3.4%, while Lawrence is only 3%. Here is a Lawrence workforce by industry bar chart. We can see that the education, of course, occupies the most highest percentage of employment in Lawrence. And second, actually, the second, third, and fourth, like accommodations such as hotels, restaurants, and healthcare, and also retail, are the second biggest part on employment industry in Lawrence, which is between 12 to 13%. Now let's talk about the visitation and spendings. So even Lawrence is a college town, and most of industry are related to the the education. However, it still have there a lot of fantastic museums or country club music, and um, it is a very good place for the family visit in the weekend, especially people like me. We are from Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. A lot of people spend their weekend in Lawrence as well. So the visitors spending in the whole Douglas County grew 7.6% in 2015, which reached to 244.5 million. And also it reaching 250 million in 2016. And a visitor who spending directly supports 2,710 jobs in 2015 and 2,733 jobs in 2016. Also, tourism in Douglas County generated 38.4 million in tax revenue, with 22.5 million accruing to state and local governments in 2015 and 40.7 million in tax revenue in 2016, with 24 million accruing to state and local governments. According to Explore Lawrence annual report in 2017, it is very interesting that they found the highest percentage the visitors spending are on the food and beverage, which is 28%. And second one is the transportation, which is 26.9%. And the third one is lodging, which is 17.2%. According to the Explore Lawrence annual report in 2016, the hotel revenue shows a growing trend from 2010 to 2016. In 2010, the total Lawrence hotel revenue was about 18 million, but in 2016, this number grew to 28 million, which is about 55% growth compared with 2010. In 2016, there were 127,561 room nights in Lawrence and about 20,282,199 economic impact. Here I've proposed some methodology about how to analyze the tourism economic impact for. First of all is the multiplier. So the economic impact has direct impact or an indirect impact, also induced impact. To calculate the indirect effects, such as hotel, landlord supply company, or food supply companies, we can use the direct sales plus indirect sales and divide by direct sales to calculate the sales multiply for the indirect effects. And you also use direct sales plus indirect sales plus induced sales divided by direct sales to calculate the induced sales multiplier. So those two are the most simple calculation for the multipliers. According to Explore Lawrence annual report, we know that in 2016 the direct tourism sales was 250 million, and in 2015 all the visitor spending, direct spending was 244.5 million. So we assume the multiplier is 1.9, and we can calculate that, use 250 to multiply 1.9. We can find the indirect sales plus induced sales were 475 million, and in 2015 the indirect sales plus induced sales were 464.6 million. And the second one is the margining. So imagine that we purchase one thing, especially from the grocery stores. So for example, that item is $100. So the retail margin actually is $40, and there is $10 wholesale margin and $5 transportation margin plus. So the direct effects on the local economic is only $40, not $100. And let's assume the type 2 sales multiplier for the retail trade in this region is 1.5. Then the total sales effect is 1.5 multiplied by 40, which is $60. And suppose a visit spend $100 in this region, split $40 for the goods and $60 for the service. Assume the margins across all goods is 50% and none of those items made locally. The region capture all of the spending on services, which is $60, but only the margins of purchase of goods, 50% multiplied $40, which is only $20, for the total direct sales of $80. The capture rate is 80%. If instead half of the goods are made in the local area, another $10 is captured by manufacturing sectors, and the capture rate increases to 90%. It is important that the multipliers be applied only to spending that accrues to the region's economic and not to import goods or service. So the effective spending multiplier equals capture rate multiplied sales multipliers, which is 80% multiplied 1.5 equals 1.2. So here is one example about the tourist spendings. So for the example, the lodging is $75 per night, and the restaurant, the day users is $20, and overnight visitors are $30. Grocery is $10 for the day users and $10 for the visitors. So we can see the table 2 that, for example, there are 10,000 visitors per year. So the lodging total income will estimate to 750,000, and the restaurant total becomes 500,000, and grocery is 200,000, with 100,000 in the day users and overnight visit 100,000 as well. So, and the table 2 shows the margins, as we just mentioned, that especially in the grocery. So the margin is 15%, and local producer is only 10%, and imports is about 75%. So that calculates the table 4 that, just let's use the grocery as example. So local producer is use the 15% to multiply, it become 20,000, and the retail margin is 30,000, while the import is 150,000. And then table 5 is just one example about the each industry's multiplies and ratios for this place. So by using these multiplies, we can calculate the total spending impact. We can also calculate the job each industry supports, how many jobs each industry supports. The last one is input and input-output analysis. In-plan model combines the national average data and local specific data. It can calculate the multipliers, direct, indirect, induced impact. By collecting all of the data, such as each industry's income, employment, taxes, and input output numbers, we can use in-plan to analyze the economic impact in Lawrence.